Hello, and welcome to the second video of my podcast. My podcast is about knitting and other crafty things, mostly yarn crafting, and bookish thoughts and chatter about other things that interest me. So thank you for opening this video and spending a little time with me and coming along for the ride. I hope you enjoy it. This has been a little bit of a week. Good and, well, one frustrating thing. I did try doing vlog format. I made some little, I taped some little clips during the week, and I tried to put them together and was almost finished, and then at the end it went horribly wrong. So you live and learn. Yeah, lost that whole video. It got deleted, and it's gone, all gone. So here we are. I'm just gonna try and do this in one sitting. And anyway, so that was the disappointment of the week. Highlights were a neighborhood potluck that we had on Friday evening, and I made a antipasto pasta salad, which is something I just kind of made up, but it's tasty. We like it, and it's good for potluck things. It's got salami and fresh mozzarella and grape tomatoes and cucumber and cut up artichoke hearts and black olives, pieces of roasted red bell pepper, and pasta, of course, and Italian dressing on top of it all. You can make a real big batch pretty easy, and it's great for summer and great for potlucking. So that was good. I spent just a short time there. Mom stayed for pretty much the whole time and had a really great time. Dad stayed home, and that was fine. That's good. It was what he needed to do. So I came home to be with him. Another highlight was that I ran a couple errands, but then I went out on a little adventure after the errands and had a little time with myself, a little fun time. I stopped to pick up a library book that had come in from a hold request, which is Illumine by Amy Kaufman and Jay Christoph. Here it is. And I took the book directly to a Mexican restaurant and had delicious Mexican lunch and a lovely margarita. And it was a really fun time by myself. I read about 20 pages of the book right away. I'll talk about the book later in book talk, but it was engaging. I'll say that. Engaging from the start. So that's kind of how the week went. The weather is warm now. It's spring turning to summer, and it is too hot in the afternoon for hot tea, which is what we've been doing. Our tea time has been hot tea in the afternoon until 2 days ago, because we needed cold. Now in the morning, I don't care, even if it might be 72 degrees in the house, which I think is somewhere in the 20s Celsius, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't care if it's really warm in the morning. My morning coffee latte has to be hot. I need hot coffee in the morning, regardless, any time of year. Doesn't matter the weather, the temperature, coffee in the morning needs to be hot. But I am here for cold tea. I am totally here for cold tea on a hot afternoon. I looked up on Google about cold brewing tea because I wasn't sure if you could. And Google told me, yes, you can. So doing a very simple method, the first day I tried it with tea bags, which we've not been using since the loose leaf tea started coming in and we got the infuser. So I figured it's an experiment. I'll do it with the tea bags first, and if it isn't good, I didn't waste the nice tea. But we really liked the tea bag cold brew. So today we had cold brew of ginger peach black tea, and that is beautiful cold. It turned out wonderful, so refreshing. Yeah, and this method is really very, very simple. Just fill up the jar with water. The jar that I used holds about 2 cups, maybe a little over 2 cups. And for the tea bags, I put 3 tea bags. And for the loose leaf tea, I put 3 heaping teaspoons in. A teaspoon, a spoon, not a teaspoon measuring spoon. And yeah, so we are switched over to cold brew tea for the summer. And that is a very good thing. Now, in knitting, I finished this pair of socks that I showed you last week, and so happy. The colors in this yarn, like I said, are really happy, cheery colors to me, and it was really fun, and I love how the socks turned out. I did choose to continue with the striped yarn all the way through the toe, so I did not do a contrast toe at all. But I still have a lot of yarn left over to go into my scrappy crochet blanket because I made the legs short. These are very short little legs. I usually make taller socks, but I wanted a lot of leftover for my blanket, so mission accomplished. Also, I am making progress on my summer lacy top. Here is a progress keeper in the form of a TARDIS. This progress keeper is marking the row that is the last row of the first ball of yarn. I am now knitting with the second ball of this beautiful red Hempathy yarn. I have 8 total to use for this top. So I'm thinking that I want to make the back a little longer and do a split hem at the bottom. So a shorter front and a little longer back with a split hem. So I wanted to know how far I was going to be able to get with like about 4.5 balls of yarn, which is what I have budgeted for the back piece. And then I plan to use 3.5 balls of yarn for the front piece. With the lace, I did have a little hiccup. I read the wrong row in the chart, and I didn't realize it until like 2 rows later. So I had to backwards knit or tink to take out those 2 rows because that's the kind of mistake that you need to go back and fix. I don't fix every single mistake in my knitting or crochet, but that is a mistake that I couldn't just let go. So I'm really glad that I did that, although I was a little bit crestfallen when it happened. Now I've done about 3 repeats of this chart, and I'm beginning to internalize the pattern a bit and get into the rhythm and logic of it, which feels really good. And I really enjoy that about lace knitting and cable knitting. I find both of them, you can really get into a flow and a rhythm with the pattern and the stitches, which really it scratches an itch in my brain that is just it's very satisfying and relaxing and good. One of my favorite parts of knitting. So those are my current projects right now. Right, so the only one is still being worked on. I plan to very soon cast on a new project, because I do like to have more than one available depending on my mood. I don't like to have a lot of unfinished projects, but I am not completely monogamous. My sweet spot is about between 2 and 4 active projects, because then depending on my mood or depending on where I am, some projects are easy to take on the go, some projects are perfect for TV knitting. Anyway, but more than 4, and it makes me really tense. I worry about finishing anything. So that's how I am with my projects. So I don't know what I'm gonna I don't know what I'm going to cast on. Sometimes I do plan ahead, and then sometimes I just really just play it by ear, and I don't really plan ahead. Sometimes I just need to search on Ravelry and see what strikes my fancy, look through my library. I like to search my library using the Ravelry search. That's a really good thing. And speaking of Ravelry, if any of you who are knitters or crocheters and you see a project I'm working on or a project that I've done, and you have a question about it, about the yarn or what pattern, you want some details, I make a project page for every single project that I do since I joined Ravelry, because I really enjoy the functionality of the project pages. I know they don't work for everyone. Other people have everybody has their own methods, and some people don't really want to track their projects or keep a record. Everybody has their own way of doing it that works, but the Ravelry pages work really well for me, so I use them, and they're available on the internet, so you can look up the details and find out about any yarn that I've used in my projects or patterns, and that's there for you. Also, I will put pattern names and yarn names and other book titles and authors and other things that I talk about in a video that I think you might want to look up or you might want to know more about. I will put that in the information box under the video, right under the video here. I know I won't be putting links. I hope that's okay. I'm sorry if that's a problem for you. But I haven't figured out how that functions on the website, on the YouTube website. So I hope that's okay. And let's talk about books now. Like I said, I picked up Illuminate, and immediately engaging. Like I said, it is a science fiction set out in far space with space colonies, giant corporation warfare in space, and space zombies, and all kinds of craziness. This is going to be, I can tell just from a few pages, it's going to be a really, really fun read. And the format that they're telling the story is a case file. So in the book, it's written in transcripts of interviews of witnesses, documents, maps, all kinds of things put together in this case file. And I am excited to keep going in this book. Now, I know I mentioned Black Hills last week by Dan Simmons, that I was looking forward to starting that, and I have not started it. I got the notification for this book, and I was like, ooh. So I don't know. These are both big books. I don't know if I will be able to read them together, go back and forth between them, because I also have a book I want to listen to. I finished Inspections, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to get back to another book on an audiobook to finish it. I listened to 3 chapters a couple weeks ago in the kitchen while I was cooking, and it is so fun. I want to get back to it and not leave it behind. So the one I'm listening to right now is 3 Bags Full by Leonie Swan. And this is a cozy short mystery. It should be a nice, fun, very entertaining listen. It's a cozy mystery with a twist, which is that the detectives for this mystery are a flock of sheep in a little tiny village in Ireland, and the murder victim is their shepherd. On page 1, they find their dear shepherd murdered in the middle of the road. And so something is afoot in the village, and the sheep are going to get down to the bottom of it. This is from the beginning, it was so funny, and just I was laughing out loud. Leonie Swan, with her dialogue, the personalities that she is giving these sheep are just so fun. And the kind of leader of the flock, who I'm pretty sure is going to be the lead detective, is Miss Maple. Sounds a lot like Miss Marple. Any Agatha Christie fans? So lots of little things like that, little fun little winks, and it's a sweet, really funny book, and I am looking forward to that. Now, another thing this week that has been exciting, I finished this bullet journal notebook, and this, starting today, is the first day I am fully using my new copper-colored journal notebook. This is also the first notebook I'm using to bullet journal with. It's a dotted notebook, not lined. So I'm really excited to try that. I've filled 5 notebooks. This is my 6th that I'm just starting all of them that I've done before were lined. And I keep my bullet journaling fairly minimal. I don't get really fancy and spend a lot of time decorating, or I don't really do drawings or anything like that. I did get, when I bought the new notebook, I did get a couple stencils to try out because I've never tried stenciling with my bullet journaling. But I've set up the month of June. This is my monthly spread. And I have a weekly spread that I use, and I also put lots of lists and other things in there. Sometimes I write down a recipe in there. If I do an experiment and it works really well, I'll write it down so that I can try and do it again. Bullet journaling is so flexible, really. You can really make it your own, and you can do it as simple or as elaborate and decorated as you want. You can use it for a creative outlet if you want. It's not a creative outlet for me. I find, for me, it's been very helpful and very functional and really good tool to help me keep on top of things and help me see what I'm doing and what needs to be done. And I put things in lists so that I don't worry about forgetting, because that's a worry I have a lot. So I write it down in the journal, and then I don't have to worry about forgetting it, and I know where I can find it because it's all in the journal. So if you've been intimidated by bullet journaling, or if you've never heard of it, I encourage you to look into it. And if you've thought, oh, maybe I should try it, but I don't know, it looks really hard, or no. You can make it what you want, and you can do it very, very simply and minimally and functionally. It doesn't have to be a piece of art at all, unless you want it to be. Now, also in book talk, I did say that I finished Inspections by Josh Malerman, and here are my thoughts. It was an enjoyable read. He really created a feeling of isolation and claustrophobia in these two towers, the girls' tower and the boys' tower. And you felt that that tension and the slow reveal of the secrets and lies was compelling. And how are they going to react, and what's going to happen, and what are they going to do? And so it was a good read that way. I don't find it a particularly memorable book that I'm going to be thinking about, that's going to stick in my mind for a long time. And I think he was more interesting in that kind of gripping story and that atmosphere, but so he did not focus on developing the ideas of the topics of, the isolation of genders and the meaning of gender and sexuality as a distraction or as a necessity, or a lot of those things that could be discussed. But he didn't really do that, which, I mean, it's okay. He didn't have to, but it might have been interesting. But he really didn't. The two mad scientists that developed this crazy experiment, he didn't really develop their backstory or their philosophy very much. just very surface level. Um, and that's my reaction to that book. I'm glad that I got it from the library. I know I thought at first I had downloaded it from Audible, but no, now I'd like to talk to you about a couple of finished objects that are fairly recently finished. This one is from, I think, February of this year. And it is in Fyberspates Scrumptious 4-ply, which is a lovely wool and silk blend. And another thing is that this yarn came from a swap package. I did a fiber share swap last year at the end of the year, and it was a wonderful experience. My lovely and very kind swap partner, Nicola. Hi, Nicola, and thank you. Sent me this beautiful yarn, 100-gram skein of this Fyberspates Scrumptious 4-ply, and it had to be silk. I mean, it had to be lace because of the silk in it that gives it an amazing drape. And also the yarn is very loosely plied. It's not a really, really round and firm yarn. It's just a very, very drapey and exactly what you want for lace. So that's what this is. The pattern that I chose is Lily, Lily, designed by Knit on Ravelry, and it is available there as a free pattern for download as a PDF. So you can get it there for free. One of the great free patterns, if you ask me. I really enjoyed this fun pattern, and at first I was kind of, I know it's chart or no chart. It's a big debate and very firm camps. I am in the chart camp because I'm very visual. At first I was a little bit like, why doesn't this have a chart? I wish there was a chart. But then I like, when I started actually knitting it, I realized that the nature of this pattern is not meant for a chart, because the stitch count changes in pretty much every row because of the way you knit it, and it makes sense when you read it. But I'm like, once I started doing it, I'm like, that is why you can't make a chart with this lace. So it really needed to be written instructions. So it worked out great. And a very, actually, by the end, I had it memorized. I knew what to do on every row. That doesn't happen with every pattern stitch, but you know, there are some that that you can really memorize, and I did get there with this, and it was such a fun knit, and I love wearing it, and it was a perfect combination of yarn to pattern. So another thing I want to show you is I finished it very recently. I think just a few days before I filmed my first video, the introduction. I finished this, and it's a shawl. Here, let me show you. This is the beginning, and the colored yarn is a gradient, so I want you to see how the colors change. And here's the end of that gradient yarn. It ended here. But look at that beautiful gradient. And my friend dyed this gradient for me. She started with a cream colored Lion brand sock yarn, and she used food safe colors to dye it at home. And she made that beautiful gradient and gave it to me for my birthday. She knows me so well. It was that's a perfect kind of birthday gift for me. So just a couple days after my birthday, I cast this pattern on. The pattern for this shawl, look at that beautiful lace. I love lace, if you can't tell. But this shawl, this beautiful shawl, is Makariri, designed by Aroha Knits, or also known as Frenchie or Francoise. I highly recommend any of her patterns. She has designed a lot of them, and it was really well written. It was a wonderful knit. It was a really good project. I liked it's kind of divided in sections. You do stripes for a while, you do lace for a while, you just do mindless garter stitch for a while. And that makes for a really great project in my mind. I'll show you how I wear it. This is how I wear most of my shawls. I just kind of, I wrap it around this way. Like this. And look, dangling ends. I have not woven in the ends yet, because I hate weaving in ends. That's just it. I will weave in the ends before this shawl goes out of the house on my neck, but it's warm now. It's too warm to wear this shawl, so I'm not in a hurry to weave in those ends. And even this cowl, look, ends not woven in yet. That's just how I go. But now with this cowl, I can put those to the back. And there's only two. I can tuck them in. I can put them in the back. I'm not in a hurry. I do eventually weave them in. But I procrastinate a lot on that. So that's just how I am. That's what I do. And I know a lot of you kind of feel the same way. Anyway, so I think we have come to the end of this video. It's warm. I'm going to take this off too. I think we've come to the end of this video. If you are still watching, thank you. And I also, at the very, very end, after I'm done talking, I am going to put some photos in a little slideshow with some music and show you some pictures. So most of them I took this week. I also might put just a couple favorite old photos from, the past, just to show a couple favorite things. You will see in the photos a couple pictures of our cat, Stella, who is so adorable. We've had her for just over a year. We adopted her just a few days after the previous cat that we had. She was very ill and we lost her. And then just very soon after that, we got Stella, and it's been just over a year. And we love her. She makes us smile every day, just like all our pets do. Our pets make us smile and give us so much joy and fun. I hope that you are having a good week. I hope that your crafting is going well. If you had a beverage or a snack while you were enjoying this video, I hope it was delicious. And please come back and watch another video. I have ideas for more videos and things I want to talk about. So I plan to make at least a few more. I hope you'll come back for those. And take care.